Good afternoon and welcome to Bearcast News. I'm Sally Bishop.
And I'm Jack Rohr. Coming up, we'll talk about how students are coping with yet another semester, pandemic style.
How you can help with the worrisome blood shortage. It's easy right here on campus.
And later, we'll catch you up on all the exciting sports news here at the University of Cincinnati and with the Bengals' run for the Super Bowl.
Those stories are coming up, but first, students at the University of Cincinnati are facing the third academic year since the COVID-19 pandemic began. Jack Rohr shows us it's not the college experience that most expected.
When you think of college, you imagine meeting new people, campus life, or those long nights at your computer. Well, what if all those things now sit behind a computer screen? Cole Thatcher started college in 2020.
I'm trying to at the point where I'm getting serious, and it's hard sometimes to be serious when you're just sitting behind a screen the whole day. There's just distractions everywhere. It's hard just to be able to get real about it.
Students aren't alone in their frustrations. Professors like Kevin Burke say they've had to adjust too.
If a student was upset, it was hard for me to disagree with them or say, no. All I could do was say, I understand, I get it. We're trying to do our best, but it's not perfect.
So professors have created new ventures like the CCM Film Lab.
We were able to pull that off with, I think, 70 acting students and 65 at that time e-media students that we worked together and shot those 8 films downtown in the Airbnbs, and no one got sick. But the students produced good work. All of the pieces were pretty good, and some were really good.
This hands-on experience greatly benefits students like Cole who feel they're missing out if they're online only.
I think we all want to go back to in-person. No one wants to be online.
Over 70 universities across the U.S. started the spring 2022 term online. Classes are back on campus now and, barring another variant surge, students and professors hope it stays that way for the future. Jack Rohr, Bearcast News.
The last couple of years have been stressful for everyone, no matter your age. The group Mental Health America says anxiety and depression rates were at their highest in 2021 across the nation. This rings true at UC as well. The university says mental health services are overwhelmed with students seeking help since COVID-19 began. But there are plenty of resources on campus. More than 15 programs available for students, including Women Helping Women.
We do offer a 24/7 call and text hotline. So if it's after hours, you can call that hotline number that you see on the screen. And just so everybody knows, we are completely free and confidential resources.
By the way, don't let the name fool you. Women Helping Women offers support to everyone, no matter the gender.
The University Recreation Center is open once again this semester with most activities available to students. But will they return? Many students have decided to buy memberships at local gyms over the past 2 years. Some were upset the basketball courts and pool were closed. Others didn't want to wear a mask while working out. The mask mandate is still in effect in all indoor places on campus, and the pool is fully drained. But the courts are now open for basketball, volleyball, and futsal. We asked the rec center about their student retention rates these past 2 years. They wouldn't agree to an interview or answer our questions.
The university isn't the only one issuing a mask mandate. So has the city of Cincinnati. Mayor Aftab Pureval ordered the mandate for 30 days to deal with the new spike in cases. It covers city employees working indoors, but stops short of a citywide indoor mask mandate for everyone.
The Hawksworth Blood Bank says it only has 1 day's supply and it needs donations desperately. Hawksworth had to shut down bloodmobile use in January because of a lack of workers. Lily Tedrick tells us there's a new plan in place for the annual blood drive on campus this year.
Hawksworth Blood Center works with UC every year to host blood drives. They do it using something they can't bring to campus this month: bloodmobiles. They can't use them right now because of COVID. Their solution? To hold a blood drive in TUC Great Hall. Public relations specialist Jackie Marshall says UC is important to their donations.
So we have at least 4 blood drives a year, a school year at UC on campus. And then we're also located right on UC's medical campus. We have a donor center there. So we get a lot of people that come in through the hospital, other students. So we really rely on the UC community and that partnership to help us collect blood.
Hawksworth supply has dropped because of pandemic staffing problems. But people still need donations. You can't make blood in a lab. Marshall says Hawksworth is taking COVID precautions with donors.
So right now we highly encourage appointments. That way everybody's kind of evenly spread out to help with the flow of donors. We also require masks for all of our staff and everybody. They're wearing N95s now.
Students like Jamie have an important reason to donate.
My grandmother has diabetes, so she very often needs blood transfusions. And because I'm O positive, they're like, oh, you're kind of important. And I'm like, oh, I'm important.
Donors at UC get drinks and snacks while donating, and free UC merch after. The pandemic may have stopped some things, but blood donations can't be one of them. Lily Tedrick, Bearcast News.
It's been a brutal winter the last few weeks. Snow, freezing temperatures dropping to the single digits. Cold shelters have stepped up to help the homeless community. But the COVID epidemic has made things much more complicated. Prince of Peace Pastor John Segatan says the Omicron variant has forced the shelter to make changes.
It would be unsafe to have people sleep in mats side by side, which is the way we used to do it here.
Instead, the shelter now funds a homeless to hotel program. People experiencing homelessness can fill out a screening form to live in a hotel room through March. They get meals 7 days a week. There are only 80 beds though, so the program can't supply beds to everyone who needs them.
For those who've been sitting home during the pandemic, one major change is that we've moved many of our daily activities online, and that includes shopping. Online sales have taken off with sites like Amazon and Etsy leading the market. The surge of COVID-19 only accelerated what was already happening. Window shopping has turned into Windows shopping. This has had a huge impact on malls and shopping centers. Places like the Cincinnati Mills Mall already were suffering before the pandemic. Now they're almost empty.
It's amazing to see just how fast online shopping is going, making certain places out of business. Like there's strip malls, there's malls everywhere I see where it's just
Yes,
instant,
it's so crazy, and it's so convenient too.
Convenient? Yeah, I guess so. Just another sign of the times, I suppose. Lots of other news coming up after the break.
A rash of car thefts near campus, what you can do to lessen the risk.
And you can't miss the sign of progress across campus. Construction everywhere. We'll show some of the big projects going up after this.
All of us want to feel safe on and near campus, but police say there's been a rash of break-ins and car thefts.
Sally Bishop shows us why you may want to think twice before leaving your car running in Clifton this winter.
Safety is a big concern for students at the University of Cincinnati. The urban environment draws thousands of students in every year, but it comes at a cost. Crime has gone down since the pandemic overall, but the number of carjackings has soared.
This is theft.
UCPD officer Cara Sparks has handled some of these calls.
We have seen since the pandemic a spike in cars being stolen, so auto thefts.
Gang members hijacked UC student Ana Maria Echeveria's car on campus last July. The men stole the vehicle at gunpoint.
My back was turned facing Marion Spencer, so they came up behind me. At least one of them had a gun, so they pulled it to my neck and told me to leave my car, leave my phone, everything.
She says this event still haunts her.
So I sought outside therapy in December, and I have a really good therapist, and she diagnosed me with moderate to severe PTSD.
Sparks has some tips and tricks for students in the area to stay safe.
For your vehicles, whether you're parked or driving, don't leave your keys in the car, lock your doors, and don't leave any valuables in plain sight.
Sparks also recommends students download the Bearcat Guardian and Citizen apps. Echeveria offers her advice too.
I would just warn people to stay alert and not leave their car running, or just be aware of their surroundings.
If you or someone you know is a possible victim of a crime, call UCPD. The number is on the back of your Bearcat card. Sally Bishop, Bearcast News.
For those of us without cars, UC's night ride service has been a big help. Door-to-door transportation late at night. But no more. Olivia Mead tells us the service is taking on a new form this semester, one that will impact students.
Dependable transportation is key for most college students. For University of Cincinnati senior Julia Holmes, the night ride program was exactly that.
It was a pretty reliable source, so it was definitely nice when you're trying to get around campus.
But the program is changing this semester. Night Ride is switching to a shuttle program with 15 stops from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. Holmes says she questions the safety of the switch to shuttles.
It does make me feel a little bit less safe, just because you have to think about it in the sense of once I get out of the van or out of the car, I'm walking by myself.
But former Night Ride director Lauren Harmon says safety at the stops is still a priority.
You know, I know there's some safety risk there, but we tried to put them very close to residents, and then we worked with UCPD to create direct patrols at those areas.
The shuttle also runs on a 25-minute loop and can be tracked using the Double Map, an app made for public transportation.
With the consistency and reliability, you know where it's going to be at all times. You're able to track it so you can stay inside, stay in a safe area.
But even with the safety measures, Holmes says she doesn't think she'll be using the shuttle.
I think now I would definitely prefer Uber and other rideshare services.
Students say whether they choose to call a car or take the shuttle, personal safety is the top priority. Olivia Mead, Bearcast News.
UC is looking for a new leader to tackle issues like crime and night ride. Chief of Police James Whalen is retiring this year. He also serves as the university's Director of Public Safety. The university is in the middle of a national search for his replacement.
That's not the only change. Walk around the university and you'll see a campus in transition. Preston Stober tells us why you may need a hard hat in many spots.
Construction. It's a common sound these days for all UC students to hear, outside of their homes, in class, and all around campus. Currently, the university is building Clifton Court Hall, a beautiful-looking building to be home to the classes of the arts and sciences as well as the engineering and applied sciences. The university is also undertaking the long-awaited reconstruction of Calhoun Hall, followed by Siddall Hall. Calhoun and Clifton Court Hall are slated to finish completion in the summer of 2023, with Siddall starting construction shortly thereafter. Lastly on the horizon, UC is planning on the demolition of Crosley Tower in 2025. It's a big mess, but fourth-year information systems major Thomas Prochek says it's a mixed bag.
They need to get construction done to improve the campus. It kind of sucks that it has to be going on while classes are in session, but they can't really get around that.
Not everybody shares his excitement, though.
Just having to do alternate routes sometimes can be pretty annoying.
It's all over campus. It's kind of spread out a lot, and it makes the campus feel kind of incomplete, and it's not always fun to be walking around scaffolding and people building stuff all the time.
Whether with it or against it, campus construction is here to stay. At least all Cincinnati faithful can find serenity in the beautiful campus and the excitement of what lies ahead. With Bearcast Media, I'm Preston Stover.
And one more change coming that's making some people wonder if it's just a first step. The Cincinnati Enquirer is going to stop home delivery on Saturdays. They're going digital only. Jacob Lyston is a student at the University of Cincinnati. Unlike most people his age, he doesn't use social media a lot, so he relies on other sources for news. He says one of those sources is the local daily. He reads the Enquirer every weekend, but not for long. Starting March 5th, the Enquirer will stop printing and delivering the Saturday edition. You'll only be able to get the news on a digital version on their website.
I know it's easier and cheaper to post online, but I think history is in your hands when it's printed.
Newspapers have lost a lot of ad revenue due to online sources, so they're having to cut their budgets, and this is just one way to do it.
It certainly is. This has been a thing for a while. Like I told you, my dad's been worked there for a while, and this is what made a lot of people go on their way out. So it's interesting to see that they're finally committing to putting stuff online.
Yes, and I'm going to miss having that printed paper every Saturday.
Color comics on Sundays, you know?
I know.
Honestly, I will say, though, it's been a great couple of months to be a Cincinnati sports fan. First, UC goes to the Rose Bowl, and then the Bengals make the Super Bowl for the first time in more than 3 decades.
We know you want to hear all about it. Caitlin Zelenowski is up next with all your sports highlights. Stick around.
Hooday, how about them Bengals?
I'll be completely honest, I was starting to forget they were a football team. No, I'm just kidding, but seriously, that's amazing, honestly.
I've been a hopeful fan for so long as a Cincinnati native, so I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm. Me too. You know, this football season has been amazing for the city of Cincinnati. If you live in Cincinnati and watch football, What a time to be alive. The University of Cincinnati Bearcats make history by making it to the college football playoffs, and the Cincinnati Bengals make it back to the Super Bowl for the first time since 1989. The Bearcats were the first Group of 5 team to ever make the college football playoff. The number 4 Bearcats took on the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. Unfortunately, their undefeated season came to an end after the Crimson Tide beat the Bearcats 27-6. Even with that loss, the Bearcats still had an historic season, going 13-1, beating Indiana and Notre Dame on the road and winning the American Conference for the second year in a row. The Bearcats have had a few star players that have declared for the NFL draft this spring. Quarterback Desmond Ridder finished his career as the winningest quarterback in the nation and broke many records in his final season. He has the most touchdowns and total yards in UC and AAC history. According to the PFF, Ridder is currently projected as the number 2 quarterback in the draft and number 23 overall. On the other side of the ball, cornerback Ahmad Sauce Gardner, who didn't allow a touchdown in his entire college career, is projected as the number 1 cornerback and 8th overall. Both players have had great Bearcat careers and promising NFL careers too. The Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl. They have shocked the world and proved they belong with the top teams in the NFL. The Bengals ended the season with a big 34-31 win over the Chiefs to win the AFC North and clinch their spot in the playoffs. They ended up as the number 4 seed and got to play the Las Vegas Raiders at home in the first round. The Bengals hadn't won a playoff game in 31 years, and they broke that curse by beating the Raiders 26-19. After the game, quarterback Joe Burrow had this to say.
We expected this, so it's not going to be a big celebration like it was when we won the division. We took care of business. On to the next round.
On to the next one he was. The Bengals went on the road to play the number 1 seed Tennessee Titans. The Bengals had never won a road playoff game, but came away with a 19-16 win thanks to this late interception by linebacker Logan Wilson and this 52-yard field goal by Evan McPherson, better known as Money Mac. Right before McPherson walked out to take the kick, he did a little practice swing and turned to backup quarterback Brandon Allen and said, "Looks like we're going to the AFC Championship game." This team just oozes confidence. And on to the AFC Championship game, where the Bengals took on the Chiefs for the second time in a month. Except this time, they had to play the reigning AFC champs on the road. The Bengals found themselves down early, very similar to the first meeting. The Bengals defense kept the score at 21 with this crucial stop on the last play of the half. Going into halftime, they were down 21-10. The Bengals came out in the second half, just like they did in the first meeting, and held the dynamic Chiefs offense to 3 points. Joey B and the offense got the Bengals back in it with some help from McPherson making some clutch field goals. The Bengals were up 24-21 in the fourth with the Chiefs in striking distance to win the game. Cincinnati native Sam Hubbard came up big with some sacks to force them to kick a field goal to send it into overtime. The Chiefs won the toss, which most people thought they just won the game. But the defense said no, picked off Mahomes, giving the offense the chance to get McPherson into range to make the game-winning field goal, sending them to the Super Bowl. The Bengals are once again underdogs in the Super Bowl, but I think Joe Burrow likes it that way. If Burrow and the Bengals win, he will be the first quarterback to win the Heisman and Super Bowl, and it will be the first Super Bowl win in Bengals franchise history. How amazing would that be?
Coming from nothing, it's amazing to hear all of that as even possible, It's, gosh.
Yes, how incredible and what an exciting time to be a Cincinnati sports fan.
Who day indeed, baby. Let's go.
Well, that does it for us today.
Hope to see you all tomorrow. Have a good night, and thank you for watching.